Welcome back to another episode in the Aquila 32 Sport Owner's Experience series. In this video, we'll cover our experience building a boathouse and installing a lift for the boat. On the ICW, we're in a mild brackish water, but enough that we see dolphins now and then, and you'll get barnacle growth. Sure, we have bottom paint on the boat, but if you don't have it out on the water, you're going to be redoing it every year or two, and we're talking about $1,500 and up to do it. There's also a lot that the bottom paint won't protect, like the motor mounts, the HVAC intake, etc. For me, I'd rather avoid the headaches that go along with keeping the boat in an environment with any amount of salt. Being close to the Outer Banks, we're prone to some high winds periodically, and watching that big boat dancing between the pilings is never a good thing. That adds a good deal of stress not only on the boat, but on the dock cleats. It's not to mention the extra help needed when docking and undocking. We were fortunate enough to have pilings on both sides of the boat before adding the lift, but again, docking is a challenge in windy conditions. Modifying your dock requires permission, not from the city, but from the governing body in charge of your shorefront and the water. In our case, that was CAMA. They determine how big your dock can be based on the amount of shoreline that you have. You can go beyond that, but you have to apply for a major permit, which is more lengthy and has a higher chance of failure. In our case, we hired an engineer to complete the drawings for review in order to maximize the boathouse area. Initially, we designed the coverage for our pontoon boat that we had at the time, which was only 26 feet long. After purchasing the Aquila, we were already too far in the process and made the decision to be okay with a few feet sticking out the front, and we didn't want to lose any more of that hangout area. I want to give a shout out to Jonathan Layden at Layden Marine for their help through this process and with the boat lift. The new design required that we tear down and remove part of the existing dock. Something else that you should be ready for is to have your neighbors complete and sign a form that indicates that they know about what you're doing and to see if they have any objections. Note that the objections have to be more than something like they just don't want it. Their objection has to be something CAMA would agree with. In our case, we did have to move the boathouse from the right to the left side because of how our dock was originally built in the 1990s. Once this was approved, construction began quickly. Make sure you have an area for the contractors to get those huge pilings from the road to your dock. Once completed, we added shore power, water, dock bumpers, and lights. All of this, except for the shore power, can be done without a contractor. It helps if you're shallow enough to walk under the dock for things like the water, power, and if you're doing lights under the dock. During this process, we began researching a boat lift. I thought this would be easier, but lifts designed to carry the 12,000-pound weight of the Aquila appeared to be a little more rare. A Google search on lifts of this caliber led us to Sunstream as nearly the only choice. And that's just because the other lifts didn't do a very good job with their web search criteria. However, I could make a dedicated video on why Sunstream may be the worst choice you can make. The best lift they had for us was their 18,000-pound Helix, which is supported by shorter independent pilings separate from the boathouse. They were pushing their brand new 24,000-pound lift that was just coming out, and we would be the first to get it. I told them we didn't need it, but they said they'd give it to me for the price of the 18K lift. Throw in the shipping and send the support team, I'm going to emphasize team, to help with the install. So we agreed and sent in the deposit. Not long after, we started getting the runaround from Sunstream on delivery date. After some pushback, I got a call from another company that I'd reached out to before Sunstream with the same kind of product, and theirs was ready to go. I called Sunstream and told them I wanted to move another direction and asked for the deposit back, which was denied because they said the lift was already being built. This turned out not to be true, as their Sarasota plant hadn't even opened yet. Keep in mind that this is January. Part of the process for getting a lift built for the Aquila is having drawings that the lift company can work with. Aquila definitely had us covered with drawings all ready to go. These drawings show the exact lift points, center of gravity, etc., making the design process easy. After missing months and months of promised deliveries, we finally took delivery in August. Their quote-unquote team never showed. Just one guy to tell my dock builders what to do. Somebody should tell Sunstream that a team generally involves more than one guy. This was no small task, and two of the items that had to make it to the dock were 800 pounds each. Once they were to the water, I had a blow-up dock that was put to the test and passed with flying colors. It also provided some laughs. After getting it assembled, there were parts missing, significant parts, like all of the supports for one side and half of the electronic controller, so we were back to waiting again. A couple of weeks later, the rest of the parts arrived and another Sunstream rep was sent to quote-unquote help complete the install. One of my dock guys came to help as they needed somebody in the water, and I was still recovering from an unrelated injury. The entire day went by mostly waiting on the support crew on the phone in Washington because the unit wouldn't go up and down properly. It turned out to be faulty wiring. Luckily, the rep had an extra cable with him and we were in business. The day was gone and it was Thursday before Labor Day weekend, and the bunk still had to be set for the boat. My dock guy was off, so I was the only one that could help the rep do the water work to do the bunk adjustments. We were just about done when I slipped between the two catwalks and jammed my leg up to my thigh. The injury got worse over a week and I was unable to walk. The fall caused a hematoma which turned into compartment syndrome. I had to be rushed into emergency surgery to relieve the pressure, and I got lucky not to lose my leg, with only a scar to commemorate the incident. I'm super thankful for the many prayers and God's grace as I went through this process. A month later, I had to readjust the bunks because the boat was leaning 15 inches forward, trapping rainwater in the bow, and the AC water intake on the bottom of the hull was sitting on the outer port rail. I was able to finally level the boat by pinching the front bunks together and pushing the aft rails apart to relieve the AC intake. I have to say that Sunstream was an abject failure in their design. After being given engineering drawings showing the lift points, Sunstream sent a lift with rails. I'm not sure they understand the concept of a catamaran. Technically, it only needs 4 supports or just a flat surface, like the ones in these pictures, to keep the boat level so that water can drain. Right now, the lift works and the boat is level. Adjustments have to be made when docking to make sure that the boat is pushed starboard enough to miss the AC water intake. In addition, this 24,000 pound lift struggles and sometimes fails to lift this 12,000 pound Aquila, especially when it's cold outside. So on here, you can either press your remote twice or you can press this upper button twice, and that's going to bring the boat all the way up for you. 1, 2. Now it's coming up. Not sure what happened there. I'm looking at upgrading to an even bigger 36-foot boat that weighs around 15,000 pounds. I've got my doubts, and I'm sure it's going to be a nightmare getting help from Sunstream. Let's talk about the good. Sunstream does have some cool features. First, you only need a 120 volt outlet because it uses rechargeable batteries to power the lift, so the lift will work even if you lose power. Secondly, the fact that it has a catwalk at all is super handy for cleaning, inspecting, etc. while the boat's on the lift. They could tighten up the gaps between the two catwalks to prevent injuries like I experienced. Also, it comes with a remote and an app that works with Bluetooth so you can get your lift out of the water when you leave. Okay, on this lift, we have our poles here. These are kind of like guidance poles. They get you in. You have one up front, and the same way on both sides. You can see this one peeking up over the top here. But these corners here are really super sharp. How do I know? Because I've already scraped the boat once. So I just bought these little things from West Marine and cut them in 2. You can just buy one, cut it in 2, and that that one will do both sides. I went ahead and did the other side too. You can see it kind of wrapped around the front there, wrapped around the front over there. And then we have the same thing going on the other side. You need this because this allows you to, I mean, if you want to wash and do things, you've got a double catwalk here and so forth that you can get on. But you also have a catwalk on this other side. Let me just kind of show you what I'm talking about here. We go across. Here's the catwalk on this side here. And then down below, next to the boat, is also a catwalk. It's buried right now. But you can see I've used these poles here as guidance to kind of get me on here. In this particular case, I have taken this lift and moved it as close to this as I can. And that's my best. You're looking for some sort of a sight gauge. So for me, it's getting the boat as close to the other side as I can. And also, as far as your weight and balance is concerned, front to rear, getting this here, in fact, this here, normally I would want lined up a little bit more that way, but it's only about 6 or 8 inches off, so it doesn't matter. But I want to go ahead and show you how fast this boat comes up from this position. These 2 marks that I put on here, you're going to want to do. This first mark, I put a piece of tape on as to where the automatic loading spot is, and you can go ahead and set that inside your Sunstream. They have a little programming panel, which I can show you in here. Here's your programming panel right here. And you can set and clear these, the middle limit and then the bottom limit. So in this case here, that's where I wanted this boat to be for people to get in and out of the boat. It's kind of level going across, all right? And then you also have your up and down controls as well, but you also have a remote feature in your phone, and you also have a remote control that they'll give you. The remote control I found does not work that far away from the dock, and whenever I get about right in here, I like to go ahead and take this lift and bring it all the way up so that I know it's up and nobody's going to jack with it and it's locked and secure. Also, whenever you roll up here, you can go ahead and hit your remote again and it'll come down where you want it to load on, to drive onto the lift. So let's go ahead and take a look at how long it takes, and you can see how fast this operation is. All right, so I'm lowering the lift right now so you can see how fast you can get your boat into the water. Okay, and I just set it so that it would go down to the lower, or the first step that allows your people to load on and off, and that I marked it right there, and you can reset that again up here in your box. We've got this in that middle position here, and going all the way down is not that much further to get it down to where you can actually launch. The fact that this is only eating up 22 inches of water is a great thing, considering I've only got about 3.5 feet of water up here. So let's go ahead and press this button twice to load this thing up. 1, 2. And now it's coming up. That's good. No errors this time. Go back here, we'll watch it raise. On the video, I'll go ahead and put a timer to this so you can see how long it's taken me to get this boat up where I want it. And again, in order to raise this boat up, we had to take these 2 supports up here and pinch them together on both hulls. Pinch them together. That's going to raise this up. Right now I've got them pinched together, I think, as far as I can go, and that gets the boat level. But really what you want is this. You want it tilting just a little bit that way. We'll have to see. I don't want water coming in here and rolling to the front of the boat. So we're just going to have to see how it works. Another thing, if you do have a covered lift that you're going to have to do every time and not forget is your antenna. I have raised that thing and had to stop the lift and caught it just in time, but it's going to be easy to miss. And another thing, since you're keeping this back, is when you launch, you're going to want to remember to put that thing back up. So anyway, and as maybe I'm repeating myself here, but when you're launching and you take your boat out, I like to stop in here and take this lift and get it up out of the water. And then whenever I come back, I'll go ahead and hit the remote again, and I'll take this lift and bring it down to this second point right here. Then I know that I'm ready to drive the boat onto the lift and it's safe and it's not going to hurt the hull. All right, we spent a lot of time buffing and waxing and making this thing look nice. The sun comes up and goes around this way. East, south, north, right? Comes around this way. Most of your sun comes through this area here, so I wanted to protect the boat as much as I could. So on this dock, I went ahead and bought these things for $35 a piece and just hung them up there. I'll put the link here in the video so you can see it. But it'll completely guard this side of the boat. Get the sun on it. Or rain if it blows in this way. So nothing I can do about the nose. Nose is what it is. Right now, Sunstream is ignoring requests to modify the lift. I'd love to get your input. This is a $50,000 lift with essentially no support. If you don't believe me, try to call any number related to the company, even sales. I'll guarantee you, you won't get an answer. For a similar lift with a better design, I'd highly consider Neptune lifts or IMM quality boat lifts, or on the high end, High Tide. All of them have a better dealer and installation network and better pricing. Sunstream may dominate the Google search on this, but my recommendation is to reach out to these companies. In the end, I'm glad to have a dock and boathouse that we can enjoy. It's going to be much easier to keep the Aquila looking nice, extend the life of the bottom paint, and way less wear and tear on the boat. I hope this video has been helpful, and until next time, thanks for watching. See ya!